the privilege of being a human being is that we can make thought more real than anything else. The moment we attend to that thought based on some future event or some past event, we turn on the fight or flight nervous system just by thought alone.
We're here with Joe Dispenza, and you are a pretty amazing guy here. Neuroscientist. I feel so privileged to be sitting with you. And a chiropractor. So I thought that was very interesting that they go together, right? Obviously the brain and the nervous system together. What got you into such a challenging area?
I got run over by a truck in a triathlon in 1986, wound up breaking 6 bones in my back, and was never supposed to walk again. So I had to make a pretty serious choice behind either having a surgery and spending the rest of my life handicapped, or seeing if I could actually heal myself. And so it started me on the journey. From there I got involved in studying spontaneous remissions and traveled to 17 different countries and researched what was the cause that produced effects with people's personal transformation. Wrote a book called Evolve Your Brain, then went back to school, studied neuroscience, and then started teaching people how to do it, which led to this idea that it's a time in history where people not only want to know, but they want to know how. So the workshops then led to another book called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, How to Lose Your Mind and Create a New One. And then corporate work in companies and organizations about the neuroscience of leadership and change. And then we have been measuring our transformation in our participants in our workshops with functional scans and quantitative EEGs and energy measurements, the heart rate variability measurements. And the idea is information, the transformation. So if you can teach people information and then show them how to transform, if you can get a transformation, if you can measure that, that's more information to teach transformation better. So that's what we do.
Wow. When I asked the question of how you got involved, my jaw dropped. I had no idea that's actually how you started. Yeah. So it's very interesting that, and when I was listening to your panel and you talked about the title of your book and how you have to lose your mind, sometimes you end up in this kind of dark place or a challenging place before you change. Or what do you think gets people going to really want to make the change? I mean, if people's habits, what do they say? It takes 7 years to create a habit, and then how do you change it?
Well, I think that most people wait for a crisis or trauma or disease or diagnosis or loss, some type of catastrophe to really get about the business of change. We have to reach such a lower denominator that we no longer feel like ourselves, and this kind of amazing thing happens. The moment you no longer feel like yourself, you can see yourself better. You can really get an objective view of who you are. And then you can begin to pay attention to how you're thinking, or you have been thinking, the habit of thought. You can begin to notice your unconscious behaviors, and you can become aware of how you've been feeling. And that concept in neuroscience, that metacognitive process, is the first step to change. My message is, why wait? You can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, or you can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration. And I think this is a time in history where it's not enough to know. It's a time in history to know how. And because information is so readily available, it has been a nice opening in the culture, because people really want to get about the business of learning how to do it. And I think everybody secretly believes in their greatness. And if you give people the opportunity, you give them the right knowledge, the right instruction, then people start doing the miraculous. And we've seen some pretty amazing things.
Wow. You have a recovery as well now from your accident.
Sure. I mean, that literally was another lifetime for me, but I don't ever have any pain in my back. I don't really pay attention to, any difficulties in terms of my physical body, but I'm not wired for that either. There is a delicate balance between intention and surrender. Intention is getting very clear on what you want. And if you are going to create something for yourself or for your life, once you get clear on that intention, the next element, which is the most difficult, is surrendering it to a greater mind, getting out of the way and allowing that quantum field or that universal intelligence to begin to organize it in a way that's right for you. So if you over-intend, that's called trying, and if you surrender too much, that's lethargy, and of course what happens is you begin to lose track of your intention. So I think there's a delicate balance between the two, and there's also a balance between your free-willed subjective consciousness participating in the design of the destiny, but then surrendering it to the details, trusting in the unknown, and allowing the universe to organize it in a way that's right for you. That becomes the exciting part, because when the manifestation finally shows up, will always show up in a way that you least expect. Why?
That's so true.
Because if you can expect it, it's nothing new. It's got to rock your world. It's got to catch you off guard, and it's got to leave no doubt that what you did inside of you produced some result outside of you. And when you can correlate the feedback in your life with what you did inside of you, you'll pay attention to what you did and you'll do it again, and that's called empowerment. And I think nobody is so special to be excluded from this equation, because for the most part, really have the quantum field available for all of us. We can access it individually. There's no culture, no gender, no race, no creed, no particular economic or social status that has more privilege to it. That if we're, alive and our heart's beating and our mind is open, we're divine creators, and that's what we should be doing.
So well said. Thank you so much for your information and for everything that you do.
Thank you.
And thanks for watching Green with Tiffany. This is Joe Dispenza.